By what name are you known?
There are some who call me Tim.
Welcome to a brand new episode of Timmy Talks, the channel where we talk old school magic. And in today's episode, I'm playing a match of Swedish old school magic, meaning no mana burn and no fallen empires, but a lot of fun. Oh yeah, and also only one strip mine. I am playing against Will the Thrill. Will is a brand new patron of the show. Will, thank you so much for supporting Timmy Talks, and he is bringing a black and red land destruction deck to the table, and I'm battling against this deck with my 4-colored Eureka deck. And I mean, I always love playing Eureka, so I'm really looking forward to this game. Now, before I start with the decks, I would first like to point out that, as always, you can also choose to first go to the games, check out the decks later. I know that some people prefer to do this. The easiest way to do this is by checking out the description below, because there you will find several timestamps. One of the timestamps reads MTG games, so just click on there. It'll take you straight to the games. And in that same description below, you can also find a link to the Timmy Talks Patreon page, and that is patreon.com/TimmyTalks. So there you can find out how you can support the channel financially and how you can help me keeping Timmy Talks going. So it already starts for just $1 a month, and for that $1 a month, you get access to the Timmy Talks Discord. And if you become a patron for $2 a month, you can also get your name in the end scroll, and you can play a game against, well, me, if you want to, of course. Anyway, now that you're fully informed, I'm going to continue with the decks here, and I'm going to start with the player on the left, that is Will. Let's take a look at his deck. And here we see the deck of Will. So this is red and black land destruction, and the reason I'm calling it land destruction is because he's playing with 4 stone rains, 4 sinkholes, and also with 3 blights. So these are all great cards, of course, to destroy the lands of your opponent. And while you're destroying the lands of your opponent, you probably want to play out, you know, your quick creatures like Black Knights. He's got a full playset of that. And even a better card in combination with land destruction, in my opinion, is the Hypnotic Spectre, because the problem is if your opponent doesn't have any lands, he or she cannot play out any cards, and then of course the hippie will take those cards out of the hand of your opponent. Like, that's a perfect combination. He's also playing with some really interesting cards in this deck, cards that I'm hoping to see in this matchup. Demonic Hordes. I mean, check out this bad boy. How cool is Demonic Hordes? He's playing with the Demonic Hordes. You've got a black bordered Demonic Hordes. Just is insane. He's also playing with the Royal Assassin, which I think is beautiful, and of course the Juzam Jin. So there's some firepower in his deck. We also see some power, by the way, on the right side. We see 2 Moxen and the Black Lotus, so he can kind of ramp out his big creatures quickly. And I mean, I think this matchup is really going to be a thing of, you know, Will trying to keep me off of 4 lands. And why am I saying 4 lands? Because I'm playing Eureka, so I want to get to 4. Or he could try to keep me off double green. That's also an option. And in the meanwhile, he's probably just going to play creatures and smash my face in. So I can kind of see that work. If I can get to 4 lands, I can see that I can overwhelm him because I've got bigger creatures. You know, I can cast Eureka and cast my big creatures. But if I can't, I think this deck really stands a chance. Another card that I'm a little bit afraid of in the sideboard is a Blood Moon, right? I'm playing 4 different colors. Like, my mana base is kind of a mess. So if you've got a Blood Moon, that could be a big problem for me, especially when trying to cast that Eureka. Anyway, this is the deck of Will. It's looking pretty strong, Will, and I understand from our talk that you just got back into old school and that you then have this deck. That is actually pretty impressive. Now let's take a look at my deck and see if it's also impressive. My 4-color Eureka build. Let's have a look. And here we see my deck. So this is really a Eureka deck, right? So maybe Eureka is the right card to start this deck with. It's a sorcery from Legends for 2 green and 2 that reads, starting with you, each player may put a permanent card from their hand onto the battlefield. Repeat this process until no one puts a card onto the battlefield. So this is a great card to just put stupid, big, expensive permanents on the battlefield. And obviously, I chose creatures. I'm just going to play really big creatures and attack my opponent with it. It's that simple. And to make sure I can start attacking them from the first turn that they come into play, I'm also playing with 3 cards, 3 copies of this, Concordant Crossroads, a world enchantment from Legends as well, that basically says all creatures have haste, so I can start attacking like crazy. That's the plan. And then the creatures I've chosen to go for are 3 Urnham Djinns, 4 Shivan Dragons, 4 Triskelions. Then I also have 3 legendary creatures, including Nicol Bolas. So it's kind of the dream here to play Eureka, play a Concordant Crossroads, play Nicol Bolas, attack, because Nicol Bolas has this ability that it forces your opponent to discard his or her entire hand. So that would, of course, be brutal. And yes, I know Nicol Bolas has an upkeep cost that I then probably cannot pay, and it dies. And I know, but it's just so cool to attack with Nicol Bolas. He's the OG bad guy of Magic. And I think one of the things with this deck is that you have to think, or the challenges into building this is, of course, your mana base, but also think about what are you going to do if you don't draw into Eureka. And that's actually why I'm playing with 3 Urnimjins. Urnimjin is a card that's relatively easy to cast because it only has 1 green in the casting cost, so you don't need a lot of different colors. And of course, I've got all the Moxen in here. I've got the Soul Ring and 1 Felwar, so I can hopefully ramp up. So if I don't draw into Eureka, at least I've got some creatures that are easy to cast. Talking about easy to cast, if my opponent has, for example, a Blood Moon, I can still cast my Triskelions and I can still cast my Shivan Dragon. That's kind of my thought behind also going for these creatures. And for example, not going for a Mahamoti Djinn, you know, because Mahamoti Djinn is also a beautiful, good creature. That's also the reason why I didn't go for a Force of Nature. I just figured out, you know, I'd rather go for creatures that I can cast if there's a Blood Moon on the battlefield. Another thing is, another reason I chose for Triskelion over other options is that I figured, okay, there are a lot of robots decks currently in the meta. That means a lot of Abyss. So all these, Abyss is horrible for this deck, don't get me wrong, but at least my... my Triskelions stay alive, and also in my sideboard I've got a lot of cards against a potential robots deck. You know, like Steel Artifacts is going to be a lot of fun. So I that's kind of my thought process behind choosing all these creatures. And I think one of the key cards before I draw into my Eureka here is, of course, trying to find some cards that draw me cards, or that allows me to kind of go through my deck quicker. That's what I'm trying to say. So for example, Sylvan Library would be great. If I can just get early Sylvan Library, that would be awesome. But also, of course, a Time Twister, a Wheel of Fortune, all those cards help kind of to try to find the pieces of the puzzle that you need. Because basically, Eureka, you know, it's kind of a combo deck, right? You're looking for specific pieces. I want to get a Eureka, I want to get a Concordant Crossroads, and then a lot of big creatures, and of course the mana to cast a Eureka, right? That's basically what you're going for, and then you would usually win the game if you manage to get that combination of cards. But that's of course not an easy task. Anyway, this is my Eureka deck. We've looked at the deck of Will, and like I said, what kind of worries me in this match is the speed, the potential speed that Will may have with his deck. If he can start destroying my lands quickly enough, if he can target my green producing land so that it cannot cast Eureka, you know, that could be really a game-winning strategy for Will. But there's only one way to find it out. Let's go to the game. Enjoy. Game number 1, here we go. So I'm sitting on the right, of course, with the Timmy playmat, taking a mulligan here, and Will is sitting on the left. So he's playing black and red land destruction, starting with a basic swamp, passing the turn, and I'm playing a 4-colored Eureka deck. And the only color I'm not playing is white. Starting here with the Mox Jet, Tropical Island. Oh yeah, Sylvan. This is really an important card in my deck because it allows me to go through my deck faster, trying to find the combo pieces I need. And of course, I'm looking for a Eureka, lots of big creatures, and possibly also a Concordant Crossroads. Here we do see a Sinkhole. So Will is, I believe, playing with 3 Sinkholes, 4 Stone Rains, and also 3 Blight. So it has a lot of ways to get rid of my lands. He's also playing, I believe, with a few Shatters to take care of the Moxen. Look at this, taking an extra card, dropping to 16. And finding another Tropical Island. Tapping it for blue. Okay, there's some blue power here. Ancestral Recall. Drawing 3 cards. Now remember, I already know one of those cards on the top. So I wonder how many cards I've got in hand now. Of course, I took a mulligan as well, tapping the Mox Jet here for a Soul Ring. So really ramping up, passing the turn. So 6 cards left in hand. Yeah, it's really, it looks like a great start for me. Let's see what Will can do. Maybe if he's got another Sinkhole, he could target the other Tropical Island, try to get me off of that, double green. Stone Rain could also be an option now after playing out the second Badlands. Okay, there's another Sinkhole. Okay, so it's actually doing a good job. The problem, of course, or the artifact mana, and that's really something that you've got to keep in the back of your mind. If you're playing old school, a lot of players are going to play with Moxen, Soul Rings, Felwar Stone, so you have to have a strategy against those mana rocks as well. So again, looking at the top 3 cards, I'm on 16. I guess the good news for me is that Will hasn't put any, creature on the board to put pressure on my life total. So I can just be quite aggressive, I think, with the Sylvan, getting another extra card here. So dropping to 12. I wonder if I have maybe a green source and, or not. I'm going to tap. Okay, there's a demonic tutor. So I've got one colorless floating still. Yeah, that's the thing with this deck. I mean, it's fully powered, so it's quite interesting also for me to play with it, because I actually don't play that often with the deck where I just put all the powered cards in and all the restricted cards in. I don't do that often, but I've done it here in the Eureka deck, so it really asks something else from me as a player, because I've got a lot of options. For example, if I have a Eureka now in hand, I could go for Black Lotus, having one colorless open. I could crack the Lotus for 3 green, use the colorless, I would have 4 to cast a Eureka. I wonder if the other cards in my hand are big creatures, though. That's, of course, the question. And also a thing to take into consideration here is that I already have my Ancestral Recall in the graveyard. I didn't play out a land yet, so I still have a land drop. So shuffling my deck here again, looks like I've made my decision. Let's see, what is it gonna be? I haven't passed on the turn yet. I wonder what we're gonna see. Okay, we're gonna see a ruby, so not a Black Lotus. And there's a Taiga for my land for turn. Okay, there is the Black Lotus, but now I wonder, do I want to crack it? Or maybe I just have another big creature. That could be an option as well. Tapping the ruby, tapping the Taiga, cracking the Lotus. Am I also going to use the colors? Maybe just to play a big creature. Oh, I'm going to go for a Brain Geyser instead. Yep. Going to draw lots of cards. And I've had so much card advantage here over Will, right? I've cast Ancestral Recall. I've taken 2 extra cards of my Sylvan. Now I'm playing my Brain Geyser for 1, 2, 3, 4, I think. So I drew 4 cards off of the Brain Geyser, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm going to discard a Eureka. Okay, wow. So does that mean I have a second Eureka in hand? That's the downside, by the way, of playing with a full playset of Eurekas. You really only need 1 Eureka. You don't want to have multiple Eurekas in hand. Will here tapping 3. Are we going to see maybe a Stone Rain? Or we're going to see a Hypnotic Spectre? Really nice beta copy, I believe, signed as well. And I believe this is one of the first games of Old School that Will is playing, by the way. Online, at least. So we're going to look at the top 3 cards. Now I'm on 12. I mean, I've got 7 cards in hand. Oh, look at this. Going to go to 4. Okay. I assume I have a Eureka in hand and a Crossroads then, if I go all the way down to 4. That's the only way I can explain this move. Playing a Bayou, okay, tapping 2 green and 2, I assume. Exactly. There we see the Eureka. What's going to happen now? Or are we going to see that Crossroads? I mean, I've been using that Sylvan so aggressively. What am I going to do? I guess I'm first explaining. Yeah, so there's my first permanent on the board. It's a land. Now it's Will's turn. Let's see if Will has that Demonic Hordes, because he's playing with a single Demonic Hordes in the deck, and I would love to see that. So let's see what Will can do. No, he's not playing out anything. Okay, I can just continue. And look at this. Shivan Dragon, 2 Urnimgens, a Triskelion, another Triskelion. Are we also going to see a Concordant Crossroads? A Concordant Crossroads. Oh, this is so deadly. This is so deadly. So I've got 8, 13. I've got 22 power on the board. And I'm going to attack with everything. Remember, Concordant Crossroads gives it haste. Oh my goodness. Will is just going to die. He's going to block the Shivan, but he's still going to take 16 damage. And then he can take off the counters from the Trikes. And that's it. This is game 1. And it shows how incredibly explosive this Eureka deck can be. And I mean, remember, I had such a big card advantage, and that really gave me the victory here. So winning game number 1. Wow, what an explosive play. And now, of course, we're going to dive into our sideboards, and we will catch back up with you in game number 2. Game number 2, here we go. Will, of course, on the play, starting with the basic Swamp, passing the turn. And I think we both kept our hands, so I'm drawing into card number 8. Let's see what I can do in my first turn. Remember, I think the first game I had that Sylvan Library, which was for me a perfect start. There's a strip mine this time, stripping the swamp, and of course having 2 Mox in there as well really helps. Mox Jet, Mox Sapphire for me in turn 1. Will playing again a basic swamp. Not finding his Moxen yet, or of course his Black Lotus. And I'm still really hoping that we get to see the Demonic Hordes. That would just be great. So drawing my card for turn here. After Will passed, second turn for me, there's a Tropical Island. Let's see, what can I do? Passing the turn. So taking it easy here, 5 cards in hand, passing to Will. And I mean, if he's got a second Black Source and a Sinkhole, that would be a great target. Okay, there's a second Black Source, a Badlands. Ooh, a Mox Ruby. Okay, so finding a little bit of ramp. Gonna tap 3. What are we gonna see? Oh, there's a Blood Moon coming in from the sideboard. Yeah, this is a card I kind of feared. Because, yeah, now the mana base is gonna get wonky. Remember, I need double green for Eureka. I've got 0 green at the moment. And not playing any white, so I don't have access to disenchants. Oh, this helps. Mana drain. Yeah, this could be a game changer, actually, this mana drain. Also means I've got 3 mana extra to spend in my next main phase. Yeah, gonna show that with the die there. So 3 extra mana to spend. Yeah, this mana drain really, really important for me. Remember, I only play 1 counter spell in the deck, 1 and 1 only, and that's that mana drain. Untap, upkeep, draw, and then go to the main. Let's see what I can do with the extra mana. And maybe now I can even hardcast a bigger creature. I'm also playing Solkanar the Swamp King, which is quite good against this matchup because Will's playing with a lot of black. Solkanar, of course, has Swamp Walk, and you gain a life every time that you play that you play a black spell or your opponent plays a black spell. Anyway, tapping the Sapphire here, using 2 mana, so tapping 5 in total. Oh, there it is, Solkanar the Swamp King. Beautiful art by Richard Kane Ferguson. A 5/5 creature with Swamp Walk. And there's a Concordant Crossroads attacking for 5. Oh, this could be a very quick game. This could, you know, because remember, Will cannot even play a Terror on the Solkanar because it's also black. So it's really tough for Will to get rid of this creature. It is so good in a match when you play against a dominantly black deck. Also because it's got 5 toughness, so you cannot really bolt it. I don't think Will plays with a Fireball, so it's going to be really tough here for Will. What can he do? Tapping a black. Is he going to paralyze it, perhaps? Okay, there's a Dark Ritual. Okay. Can he play a big Drain Life? Going to gain a life from the Ritual. Oh, okay. He's going to play a Juzam Jin. Going to gain another life from that. Going to go to 22. And he's also going to play a Sinkhole, it seems. Very productive turn for Will. The problem, though, is that Solkanar has Swamp Walk, so cannot be blocked by the Juzam. Now I'm on a higher life total. Going to play a Bayou. Going to play a Demonic Tutor. Ooh, I could go for Time Walk, so I can deal 10 in a turn. That could be an option. Demonic Tutor, it's such a good card, especially in a deck where you play so many restricted cards, so much power. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. So I'm pretty quickly done. Oh, okay, there's an Ancestral Recall. I actually thought that maybe I would go here for a Time Walk, because then I could put him on 5, and next turn, if he cannot find a way to get rid of the Solkanar, I could win. I even think that perhaps the Time Walk would have been better. I mean, maybe I already have a Time Walk in hand. That could also be the reason. Or maybe I just love drawing cards. Probably that's it. Probably just me who loves drawing cards. So Will now on 10. Going to take a damage, of course. Going to drop to 9 damage from his own Juzam. He's going to tap 4. Okay, there's a Jam Day Tome. He's going to attack here with the Juzam. It's going to put me down here on 17. Untap, upkeep, draw. Now remember, I also have that Concordant Crossroads. So if I now have an Urnum, I can actually win it already because I can attack with the Urnum as well. Gonna tap 4. What am I gonna do? Is it just gonna... I think it's gonna be an Urnum, right? For 4. A Eureka, okay. And I've got that Crossroads. Oh my god. Okay, there's a Shivan. Oh, Demonic Hordes on the battlefield. You did it, Will. Demonic Hordes. That is so cool. Another Shivan and a land, which is kind of irrelevant. But wow, the Demonic Hordes is so badass. But yeah, this is the end of the road here for Will. And we didn't play a third game. I think we started playing with some other decks after this. But I still wanted to show you this match because just the Eureka deck is working so well. And I also really like your deck as well, Will. I think you got unlucky because I really had good draws in game 1 and game 2. In game 2, you could see that power of Solkanar the Swamp King against a black deck. It's just really difficult to deal with. I think a potential out would have been like a Drain Life, right? You play some Drain Lives in your deck, maybe powered by Dark Rituals, try to get 5 black to pump into the Drain Life to drain the Solkanar the Swamp King. But it's a big price to pay, and I think what this Eureka deck also shows is just the power of all those broken cards, right? The Demonic Tutor is so good in a deck like this with all that broken stuff. And also I think the Concordant Crossroads was really well shown here in this matchup, right? The combination of Crossroads and Eureka. If you get that balance right, it can be such a killer combination because you win right on the spot. Your opponent doesn't even have a turn to retaliate or do something about it, because that's usually the thing with Eureka. You play your Eureka, all your creatures have Summoning Sickness, so you basically are giving your opponent a turn to get a solution, which could be a Balance, a Wrath of God, whatever. But if you have that Crossroads, your opponent doesn't have that luxury. You can just boom, steamroll over him and win at the same turn that you play your Eureka. And that's kind of what I showed, I think, in these 2 games. But anyway, this was the match for today. Thank you, Will, and also thank you for becoming a patron of the show. I'm sure we'll have plenty of games in the future. And like I said, I think this was your first online game. And again, love your deck, man. Love the Demonic Hordes. And also, I would like to thank you for watching another video right here on Timmy Talks. Before you go, please take a moment to like, share, and comment on this video. All these things are free and really help the channel move forward. YouTube loves that stuff. And talking about moving forward, you can also become a patron of the show. Check out patreon.com/TimmyTalks for all the information.
What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? Early in the morning, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises. Early in the morning, putting in the longboat until he's sober, putting in the longboat until he's sober, putting in the longboat until he's sober. Early in the morning, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises. She rises early in the morning. Pull out the plug and wet him all over. Pull out the plug and wet him all over. Pull out the plug and wet him all over. Early in the morning. Way hey up she rises. Way hey up she rises. Way hey up she rises early in the morning. What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? Put him in the scoundrel, 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 put him in the scoundrel. Early in the morning, way hey up she rises, way hey up she rises, way hey up she rises early in the morning.
Igitus figitus sumba kazee.